In the year 2458, the galaxy was in trouble. Many alien planets were part of a group called the Galactic Council. They worked together to keep peace and help each other. But now, a dangerous enemy had come. The Vorax swarm, a race of insect-like creatures, attacked without warning. They did not talk. They did not stop. They destroyed everything in their path. No one could beat them. The Council had lost many worlds. Hope was fading fast. The Council leaders met in secret on a hidden moon. They were afraid. Some cried. Others shouted. All of them were scared. They had one last idea. They would send a message across the stars, asking for help. It was a call of desperation. Most of them did not believe anyone would answer. They sent the message anyway. The message traveled far. It reached a planet many aliens thought was empty. That planet was Earth. To the Council, Earth was known as a death world. They believed nothing could live there because it was too dangerous. The weather was wild. The animals were strong. The land was rough, but they were wrong. Life on Earth had not only survived, it had grown strong. When the message reached Earth, human leaders listened. They were not surprised by the message. They had been watching the stars for a long time. They knew they were not alone. Now someone needed help. Earth decided to answer. One of the first humans to lead the mission was Captain Luke Harris. He was a tall man with calm eyes and a deep voice. He had fought many battles on Earth and won against great odds. People respected him. Soldiers followed him. He believed in doing what was right, even if it was hard. Another leader was Maria Allen. She was smart and fearless. She did not speak much, but when she did, others listened. Maria had studied alien war tactics for years. She knew how to win battles before they began. She was quick to make decisions and never backed down. Luke and Maria were called to a meeting in Earth's main space center. There, they met with top scientists and military heads. They talked about the Vorax swarm and what Earth could do. Many were worried. They knew this would be a hard fight. But Luke stood up and said one thing. He said, if the galaxy is asking for help, then Earth must answer. Not with fear, but with strength. Soon the Earth prepared a ship. It was large and full of weapons, supplies, and brave soldiers. The best of the best. They called them the Deathworlders. These were humans who trained in every kind of condition. They could fight in fire, ice, or space. They were ready. The Galactic Council did not know what to expect. They had no idea humans would answer. When the first Earth ship arrived at a council station, aliens came out to see who had arrived. They were shocked. The humans were taller, stronger, and more confident than anyone they had ever seen. Their armor was different. Their eyes were sharp. Luke stepped out first. He looked around and nodded. Maria followed, her face calm. The aliens watched in silence. They had begged for help, but now they were not sure what they had invited. These were not just helpers. These were warriors. The council took the humans to a meeting room. There, they showed maps of the galaxy and where the Vorak had attacked. Luke listened. Maria asked questions. Then Maria stood up and said, "We can fight them, but you must follow our lead." Some aliens didn't like this. They didn't trust the humans. But one old leader stood up and said, "If Earth is a death world, then maybe death is what the Vorak will finally meet." And so the humans were given command of a small force. It was the beginning of something no one expected. The Deathworlders had come, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Galactic Council had seen many strange things, but nothing prepared them for Earth's warriors. The humans did not come with fancy words or long speeches. They came with purpose. They came with fire in their hearts. Luke Harris and Maria Allen were not like the leaders the council knew. They were clear and direct. They wanted action, not long talks. When the council took them on a tour, the humans stayed quiet. They saw the damage the Vorak had done. Cities were turned to dust. Skies were dark. Refugees lived in shelters with no power. The council had lost hope, but Luke saw a challenge. Maria watched everything closely. She made notes, asked questions, and said very little. Back at the base, Luke asked for maps. He wanted to see every place the Vorak had touched. Maria asked for reports. She wanted to understand how the enemy moved and how they attacked. The council gave them the files, though many leaders still whispered. They did not believe the humans could help. Some thought the Deathworlders would only bring more destruction. One day, Luke walked through the training grounds. Alien soldiers were doing drills, but they were slow and weak. He watched them fall, trip, and hesitate. He did not laugh. He called his team and told them to train the aliens. It was not easy. Gravity was lower, and the aliens were not used to Earth-style drills. But the humans were patient. They taught the aliens how to hold a weapon, how to fight as a team, and how to keep going when tired. Slowly, the aliens improved. Maria worked in the command room. She studied Vorak movements and found a pattern. She saw that they attacked in waves and always left weak points in their flanks. She shared her plan with the council. Some leaders were unsure, but Luke stood beside her. He said, "Maria knows what she is doing. Trust her." They planned their first joint mission. The target was a moon called Kavos 7. The Vorak had a base there. It was not large, but it was important. If they could take it, the council would have a safe zone to regroup. Maria led the planning. She placed human soldiers in key points and gave the aliens support roles. She chose soldiers not by rank, but by skill. Everyone had a job. The night before the attack, Maria met with the troops. She stood before them and said, "We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. We are Deathworlders, but we are also protectors." Then she walked away. She did not need to say more. Her words stayed with them. The battle began with silence. Human ships entered orbit and shut down their engines. They drifted into position without making a sound. On the ground, Maria gave the signal. The first strike hit the Vorak's communication tower. Then the humans moved in fast. They did not wait. They did not hold back. Alien soldiers followed. Some were scared, but they saw the humans move like lightning. Luke led the charge on the north side. His team cleared bunkers in minutes. Maria directed the second wave. She kept her voice calm and clear. Every order was short. Every move had a reason. The Vorak were not ready. They fought back, but their swarm was slow to adapt. The humans kept changing their tactics. They used smoke, noise, and shadows. They fought with speed and power. The aliens watched in awe as the Deathworlders moved through the base like a storm. After 4 hours, the battle was over. Kavos 7 was free. Humans had lost only a few. The Council's flag was raised, but beside it flew Earth's flag. For the first time in months, there was a win. That night, alien leaders invited Luke and Maria to a meeting. They thanked them and asked how Earth had trained such warriors. Luke smiled and said, "We survived a world that tried to kill us every day. That is how we became strong." Maria added, "If we fight together, we can stop the Vorak, but you must trust us and be ready to change." The council was quiet for a moment. Then, one by one, they nodded. They had seen something new. They had seen hope. The Deathworlders had come not just to fight, but to teach, to lead, and to change the way the galaxy saw war. And this was only the beginning. The victory at Kavos 7 was just the beginning. Word spread quickly through the Galactic Council. Humans had done what no other army could. They had defeated the Vorak. Now, aliens from many planets wanted to learn from them. Some were still unsure, but most had seen the truth. The Deathworlders were not just strong. They were smart, fast, and fearless. Luke Harris stood on the bridge of the command ship. He looked at the stars and thought about Earth. He missed home, but he knew this mission was bigger than one planet. Maria Allen sat at the planning table, drawing new maps and routes. Her mind never rested. She kept studying the Vorak. Every move they made, she wrote it down. She knew they would come back stronger. The next battle was not far away. The Council world Nara 4 was under attack. It was a peaceful planet with green fields and tall mountains. The people there were not fighters. They had sent a call for help. Luke and Maria answered. When they arrived, the planet was burning. The Vorak swarm had already landed. The skies were full of smoke, and the cities were falling. Luke did not waste time. He ordered the troops to drop in fast. The humans landed near the main city. Alien soldiers were trapped and losing ground. Luke ran into the fire with his team. They moved like a wall, pushing the Vorak back. He shouted orders, kept the lines strong, and fought with his own hands. The alien troops saw him and followed. He did not ask them to be brave. He showed them how. Maria stayed in the control center. She watched every part of the battle through drones and screens. She saw the weak spots in the Vorak line. She gave orders to shift forces. Her voice was calm. Her commands were simple. Move left. Hold the ridge. Fire at the center. Her mind worked like a machine, always thinking 2 steps ahead. In one part of the city, the Vorak had surrounded a group of alien children and their families. The soldiers nearby were afraid to move. Maria saw this on the screen. She called in a small team of humans. They moved through the ruins fast and silent. They reached the families just in time. One soldier carried a baby in one hand and fired with the other. The children were saved. After hours of hard fighting, the Vorak began to pull back. They had lost many fighters. They had not expected the humans to lead the defense so well. Nara 4 was safe, for now. That night, Luke walked through the city ruins. People came out and looked at him. Some cried, some bowed. One child ran up and hugged him. Luke said nothing. He just put a hand on the child's head and smiled. Maria stood beside a broken wall, looking at the stars. She whispered to herself, "We're not done yet." She knew the Vorak would strike again, and next time, they would be ready. Back at the council base, meetings were held. Alien leaders who once doubted Earth now praised their courage. They gave more ships and more troops to the human command. Some even asked for human trainers to come to their worlds. Luke agreed, but he warned them training would be hard. Deathworlders were not made in comfort. They were made in storms, in fire, and in fear. He told them, if you want to fight like us, you must be willing to change. Maria set up new learning centers on council planets. She taught strategy, timing, and speed. She taught soldiers to think like hunters, not like prey. She used games, drills, and real missions to train them. Slowly, the council forces began to improve. The Vorak far away in the dark part of the galaxy were also learning. They had never faced a species like humans. Their hive minds could not understand emotion, rage, or sacrifice. They tried to adapt. But humans kept changing. They never followed the same plan twice. In the shadows of space, the war was far from over. But one thing was now clear. The galaxy had found new leaders. They came from a world once thought too wild to survive. They came from Earth, and they were just getting started. Time passed, and the war reached its peak. The Vorak swarm had grown angry and more dangerous. They no longer sent small attacks. They launched full invasions. They wanted to crush the council before Earth could stop them. The Deathworlders had changed everything. Now, the enemy wanted revenge. The final battle was near. The Vorak were moving toward Council Prime, the heart of the Galactic Council. If that planet fell, the war would be lost. Luke Harris and Maria Allen were called to lead the last stand. Everyone knew this was the endgame. Maria stood in front of a large screen showing the enemy fleet. It was massive, stretching across space. She studied it for hours. Luke walked in and said, "We stop them here or nowhere." Maria pointed to the center of the fleet. She said, "Their queen ship is here. Everything depends on it. If we can destroy it, the swarm will break." Luke nodded. "Then we take the fight to them. We don't wait." The council gave command to Luke. He now led the largest force ever seen in the galaxy. Ships from 100 worlds followed him. Soldiers from many species waited for his word. But it was not just numbers that mattered. It was unity. For the first time, the galaxy was fighting as one. Maria prepared a ground unit. She picked the best fighters from every race. She trained them day and night. They would land on the surface of Council Prime and protect the shield generators. If the shields failed, the planet would fall. The sky turned dark as the Vorak fleet arrived. Space filled with fire. The battle began with heavy strikes. Earth ships led the charge. Luke flew in a large dreadnought, firing with full power. He spoke to his team, guiding every move. Aliens who had never worked together now flew side by side. They had learned to trust each other. Maria's voice came through the comms. "Focus fire on the right wing. Push through the middle." The Vorak Queen stayed hidden, guarded by thick armor and powerful ships. Luke knew he had to get close. He ordered his dreadnought to move forward. They took heavy hits. Alarms rang. Fires broke out on the bridge, but he did not stop. On the ground, Maria and her unit fought wave after wave of Vorak. The enemy swarmed like a sea of claws and teeth, but her team held the line. Humans, aliens, robots all stood together. Maria moved through the fight like a ghost, striking fast and hard. She helped the fallen, gave quick orders, and never gave up. Then the shields began to fail. A direct hit had broken one of the towers. Maria rushed there with her team. The fight was brutal. One of her soldiers, a young alien named Relo, used his own body to block a blast. Maria looked at him for a moment, then picked up his weapon and pressed on. In orbit, Luke had reached the Queen's ship. His dreadnought was burning. He knew he had only one chance. Gave the command to launch all missiles at the shield generator. The explosion was massive. The Queen's defenses dropped. The Vorak Queen screamed across the void. Her swarm hesitated. For the first time, they felt fear. Maria saw the moment and knew it was time. She pushed forward with her unit. She found the Queen's ground nest hidden deep in the ruins. The Queen had made a second base there to control the battle below. Maria entered alone. Inside it was dark and filled with smoke. The Queen waited. She was tall, sharp, and covered in armor. Maria looked at her without fear. The Queen spoke in a voice full of hate. "You are weak. You will fall." Maria replied, "You called for help. We answered. And now, we finish it." The fight was fast. Maria used a pulse blade, cutting through the Queen's legs and arms. The Queen screamed and struck back. Maria was thrown against a wall, but she stood up. Blood ran down her face. She charged again and drove the blade through the Queen's chest. The Queen collapsed. The swarm froze. Across the galaxy, Vorak ships stopped moving. Some crashed. Others turned and ran. The battle was over. Luke's ship floated in space, broken but alive. He watched the enemy flee and smiled. Maria stood alone in the nest, breathing hard. She had won. The galaxy was safe, but it came at a cost. And Earth had become more than a death world. It had become a symbol of hope. The war was over. The Vorak swarm was broken. Their queen was gone. Their ships had fled into the far corners of space. For the first time in years, the galaxy was quiet. Peace had returned, but the galaxy was not the same anymore. On Council Prime, the skies cleared. The fires were out. People walked the streets again. They looked up and smiled. Survivors came out from shelters. They were weak, but they were alive. The council leaders met to talk about the future. This time, they invited the humans to sit with them, not as guests, but as equals. Luke Harris sat at the long table. His arm was in a sling, his face tired. He had given everything in the final battle. Maria Allen sat beside him, her side bandaged, her eyes sharp as ever. They listened as the council thanked them. Some leaders cried. Others simply nodded. No one had the right words. The council awarded Luke the highest honor in the galaxy. He stood, accepted it, and said only one thing. We did what had to be done. Maria refused her medal. She said, give it to the ones who never came back. All across the galaxy, people celebrated. Statues of the fallen were built. Schools taught the story of the Deathworlders. Children played games pretending to be Earth soldiers. Songs were written about the final battle, but Earth did not boast, did not send news of victory. They only sent help. Earth's leaders sent doctors, engineers, and builders. They repaired cities, treated the wounded, and shared knowledge. They showed the galaxy that humans could rebuild as well as they could fight. Luke returned to Earth a few months later. He was greeted by silence. The people lined the roads, heads bowed. They knew what he had done. He walked to a small farm outside the city and stayed there. He did not want fame, only wanted peace. Maria stayed in space. She helped train a new group of peacekeepers made from many species. She traveled from world to world, teaching what she had learned. Her name became a legend, but she never stayed in one place for long. She believed the galaxy must stay ready, always. The council changed after the war. They created a new defense group with humans as key members. No longer were decisions made in fear. They were made with courage and trust. The word Death World no longer meant danger. It meant strength, bravery, and survival. Relo's homeworld built a memorial with his name and the names of all who died in the war. Maria visited it once. She stood there in silence for a long time. Then she left without saying a word. The Vorak were never seen again. Some believed they had gone into hiding. Others thought they were finished forever, but Earth remained ready. They built stronger ships and trained harder soldiers. They had learned one thing from the war. Peace is not given, it is kept. In a quiet field on Earth, Luke looked at the stars. He thought of the battles, the faces, and the friends he had lost. He thought of Maria, still out there in the galaxy, keeping watch. He smiled a little. They had answered a call for help. They had done what no one expected. The galaxy had looked for mercy. What it got was fire. And from that fire, a new future had been born. Aliens had pleaded for help. Never thought Deathworlders would come, but they did, and the galaxy would never forget them.